Hello everyone, this is Elizabeth from Silvernest Homeschool, mom of four. Been homeschooling for 12 years now, which I still cannot believe because I am a reluctant homeschooler. And this is what we are doing right now, is taking you through one shelf at a time of my bookshelf where I keep books we've already used that we still want to keep, or books that we might use in the future, and books that I want my kids to have access to should they want to read them. So this happens to be our Knights and Castle area. And these are the books that they decided not to read with our unit this particular year. So maybe I should be going through them and figuring out which ones not to keep. But so far, all of these have made the cut because it's my absolute favorite time period and it's really hard for me to let go of things. So let's go through them, why they're on my shelf, and if they might be helpful to you. All right, this one my daughter did read, The Castle in the Attic. This was story of a boy who goes to the attic and shrinks down and goes back to a fantasy medieval time. Small attic, big adventure awaits. And she liked it, and I liked it when I was a kid. Glossary of construction and decoration of arms, use of arms and armor. This probably was either free or else my husband had it because he also loves medieval time period. Way more in depth than anybody actually needs unless they really care. A lot of this is probably online, but I don't know. I keep having this hope that one of my kids will absolutely just fall in love. Like, I do have a kid that absolutely loves Middle Ages with us, but not all of this is her version of the way. I think that's also a problem. Like, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting myself, but when you have something that appeals to you, but then the times change and the way the artwork changes, and some of it just doesn't translate as well to the kids. So we have used this one before multiple times, Arm and the Armor of the Medieval Knight. Most people have this book. There's no reason to have the other one. Look at that. It's upside down inside his jacket. So therefore my kids have used it, because if I was the only one using it, that would not have happened. Again, lots of text. Great, helpful book for pictures for kids that are interested in this time period, but not necessary. Totally not necessary. Just more fun. Did I tell you I'm just doing this for fun and I don't actually edit anything? So you get to enjoy all the fun. Archaeology of weapons, arms and armor from prehistory to the age of chivalry. This one was my husband's book when he was a kid. Back then we didn't have the internet, so we did need books like this in order to learn things. The Book of the Crossbow, also one of his books from when he was a kid. There we go. That was sad. I hate it when books get hurt. Le Morte d'Arthur. I have a couple different versions of this. We might read that for high school history for her since she is interested in it. So I did keep it, and I got 2 copies so that she and I can each read it together. And this one fell off the bottom shelf. We read that. Learned about that one a couple days ago, didn't we? If you're following along. Yeah, so the Book of the Crossbow, one of my husband's when he was a kid. And also another one of my husband's, the Arthurian Encyclopedia. It follows through all the different types of who the people were, who wrote about them, different artwork, where the stories came from. Oh, and just because we need 2 copies of apparently this book, when you find it in hardback, it's hard to get rid of it, especially when your husband loves his paperback version and it's historic, but then you're also like, this one's really cool too. So we'll see. Maybe they won't both stay long term, but for now we have 2 copies. All right, and there's the other copy of De la Morte d'Arthur. Not my favorite version of the story, but very classical. And this one is Keith Baines did the rewrite of it, so I was also curious to see the difference between the two. T.H. White's The Once and Future King with the Camelot cover. I do like that version. It's not the one I grew up with, but I did read in college. Sorry if I'm pulling you back and forth too fast. The Book of Merlin by T.H. White, also part of the same. So this is the second one, Unpublished Conclusion to the Once and Future King. Again, if somebody's deep diving down this topic, then they have books like that. Art of the Catapult. Did use this one with my son. Have used it a little bit with my daughter. These were also my husband's, Swiss Family Robinson. We actually have the hardback version of the original as well. This is kind of the simplified version. Lots of pictures. I don't know if you'll find this copy anywhere, so you can tell it's the 70s artwork, but big photos, not as much writing. Classic fairy tales. So Charles Perrault is the French fairy tale writer, and of course Hans Christian Andersen. And so I do like to have a few of the classic stories just around so we can read them when we're doing different kinds of other French history. Again, I really like books that are from the time period, written in the time period that we're studying. My husband's version of Robin Hood, which I think one of my kids did read. Gawain and the Green Knight. This is their favorite version of that, and he reads that one to them. Then we have The Bard of Avon, the story of William Shakespeare. I have a few stories of Shakespeare, so after this next unit, some of these are probably not going to stay on my shelf, just because we don't need that many. And then the Celts. This one was also my husband's, Conquerors of Ancient Rear. I like it because it's got those glossy pictures, and I have assigned, that's why it's got a little taggy in it, I have assigned some of this to one of my kids who was studying world history. All right. N.C. Wyeth, one of the most famous artists who created a lot of the covers for some of the series that my husband has read a ton of and enjoyed when he was a kid. And so this is all the story of how he actually made the art, and he would dress people up in the costumes and then paint them that way. So, and The Sims Medieval, which I can't play currently because I don't have a computer that lets me, but my husband bought me this many, many years before we had kids, and so kind of fun to have it around. A friend of mine is an artist, and so this is just where I stuck some of her coloring books that my kids have. They didn't want to get rid of, but they didn't know where to put them. And then from that same series, Robinson Crusoe, The Three Musketeers, and another copy of the coloring book. So that is what ended up on the shelf. Again, I haven't moved anything around or organized it for you. This is kind of where everything got landed. So my head says this is medieval history, but then obviously more things get added to it. I think a lot of it is not being so strict with myself or with my kids, to be able to live with books, to move them around, to mess them up, to put them in the wrong place. Gives them a freedom to not be afraid to touch the books. When they were younger, most of the time the books were all over the ground, and I would spend hours and hours and hours every day just putting them back up again, teaching them how to treat them kindly. And that was the season we were in. And now it's more like I'm just so happy when they pull a book off the shelf and read. So hope that was interesting, helpful. Let me know if you have enjoyed the series. We do own more than this because they are downstairs as part of our unit. And so, like I said, these are the ones that are left, and I should probably go through them and say, hey, if we didn't read them or take them, maybe we don't need them anymore. But I hate to do that before we're completely finished with all of the kids. So we will talk to you soon. Hope you're having a great day, and that this is helping your winter blahs, and that your book collection is read and inspiring and a blessing. And again, I didn't get this all in one day. Like you heard, a lot of them were kept since my husband was a kid or a young man. And so we build a library one day at a time over years and years and years. See you soon. Bye.